Ask yourself the damn question. Is winning the only thing to you?
Sports today are not just played on the field. They're played every day, online, all over the world, by sports fans just like you.
Don't you dare breathe. That won't get you anywhere. If you don't think you're a winner, you don't belong here.
The Star Fantasy League Show puts you in control of your own team. Find out who to sit, who to start, how to play, and have your daily fantasy sports questions answered with your host, Jonathan Sprung, and co-host SFL CEO Zach Stanley and Nick Steblenko. The Star Fantasy League Show is on the air now.
Hello and welcome to the Star Fantasy League Show here on 105.5 The Team in Rochester. I am your host, Jonathan Sprung, joined, as always, by the teddy bear to himself, Nick Steblenko.
What's going on, John?
Not too much. We got lots and lots to talk about, and we have NBA basketball.
Yeah, that's not that great, but whatever. Hey, we're here.
Whatever.
We're here. We're having a good time.
We're here. Matthew Footer's back. What up, Foot?
What's going on? I like that song. Can you do that again for me?
What song?
NBA basketball.
I didn't really like it that much.
Do you want me to do the John Tesh version? You ever see that video?
No.
Just look up John Tesh basketball song or theme. It's insane. He's not a person.
What? John Tesh is a person.
You've ever seen the video?
No.
Watch the video. You'll be like, this is not a human being. He's a ridiculous person.
John Tesh brings the light of our life right
Tesh
into our
radio.
homes.
I love the fact that this actually ended up going somewhere. I thought you'd just be like, John Tesh, who's John Tesh? What is going on?
John Tesh.
For some reason, we're all on a massive Chris Berman kick, and I can't figure out why. Why? Zach's not even
awesome.
here. But no, Zach's usually the one who starts this.
Well, because Chris Berman is a great guy in Western New York. He loves the Bills, loved Ralph Wilson. He's just he's just a great character.
Him and
he's
Gene
one of
Kelly.
the best characters to ever come out of sports media.
Him and Kelly.
Yeah.
They're
One of the
partying
best.
buddies. The partying buddies from back in the day.
Oh, partying buddies. That's
Why?
good.
Who is your favorite face in the media, sports media?
I love
Himself.
That's no.
Yeah, yeah.
I've always been.
Well, I look in the mirror and
I like
answered.
the old Sports Center guys like Dan Patrick, Craig Kilborn.
that's Chris Berman.
I know, but
Chris Berman's been there for all the time.
We've had to hear Chris Berman just get into senility, and I just can't deal with him being so bad now.
He is fantastic now. He's just perfected his craft.
When it was Dan Patrick and Olbermann doing
Yeah.
Sports Center.
Yeah.
Classic. Right
Yeah.
there.
Except Keith
but
Olbermann,
Berman-
again, has been affected by being a complete mental case these days. Yeah, he's a little mental. All right, somehow we're talking way off track yet again on the Star Fantasy League Show. We are breaking down the NBA. We're going to do the Central Division, guys. That's where your team plays, Footer. Did you know that?
I did, actually.
Okay, just checking. Do you know the teams in the Central, Nick?
What teams and what sport?
Oh, God.
I think I got Chicago.
Yep, there you go. We're done. That's enough.
Cleveland.
Perfect.
Are those two of
Yeah,
them?
those are two of them.
I got two.
All right, so we're gonna break the Central Division down later, but we're gonna start with news, and this allows Nick to rant yet again about
Hooray.
Roger Goodell. Go ahead, take it away.
Absolutely.
What's the latest news?
What do you mean? You tell me.
What do you mean? What do you mean? You tell me.
You tell me. You're the host.
Roger Goodell has been forced by an arbitrator to testify.
Damn
forced
straight.
to testify.
Damn straight.
This is going to happen November 5th or 6th. They're not sure if it's going to be sealed, unsealed, in front of a grand jury, or what's going to be the actual details.
Just
of
do it out
this.
in the open. Have a pair, grow a pair, and just do it right in the open.
Well,
Can I say that?
Of course you
I
can.
did it
You
already.
can say whatever the hell you want.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah, to a
there
degree.
are plenty of things that I would really love to say, but I will keep it PG. Roger Goodell, just get out there and say it, man. Just get out there and say it, because everybody already thinks you're a conniving D-bag. Nobody really wants you to be the commissioner of the NFL if you're a fan, at least.
Except 30 people.
Except
Sorry,
for
32
yeah,
people.
Exactly,
Sorry.
you're right. Except for 32 NFL owners. Nobody really cares about you anymore, man. I'm sorry. Everybody just wants you to tell the truth and get the hell out of here. Go. So basically he's just trying to squirm and worm his way through everything once again, and he has to be legally forced to be at a hearing.
Yeah, what do you think?
You got nothing down there, man. I'm sorry.
What do you think he has to hide? Seriously, what do you think he has to
Everything.
hide?
Well, I mean, they've already tried to hide it all, and they failed miserably at
What's
that.
the big thing that he's worried he's going to be forced to say, that he has seen the video? Is that what you're going to think?
Yeah, well, probably. But does anybody need him to admit that?
He's done.
Does anyone need him to admit?
If he
Did
says
he
that, he's
even
done.
need to see the video in the first place to realize that somebody had to punch that woman with a lot of force to find her face down on the ground outside an elevator? Did you need to see that?
How else does a woman get passed out?
No, apparently
like that?
she just did it on her own to screw with Ray Rice. Oh, yeah, then she just stayed with him, by the way. none of it made sense. None of it was true. We all knew he was lying through his teeth. He should have just stepped up to the plate, but fine. They'll drag him through it kicking and screaming. That's just fine with me.
I hope the NFL issues a statement immediately afterwards saying we are no longer associated with Roger Goodell.
Yeah,
regardless of what comes out.
Come on, that was the perfect time for you.
What?
You should have been like, who? With that guy.
What, the NFL say that?
With some guy.
Who?
Yeah, we are no longer associated with the artist formerly known as who.
RG1.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
There you go.
RG1
Fine,
guy.
RG1. Yeah. We have RG3, but we're not associated with RG1
I really hope the next...
And RG2,
No.
we just don't
I
know
hope
where
the
he
next
is anymore.
commissioner's initials are RG, so he can be called RG2.
Yeah, that would be great.
That would be too perfect for the NFL. Anyways, we're going to have plenty of coverage of this as it goes on, and as we see the deterioration of the career of Roger Goodell, thankfully.
I never like to see a human being just get totally demoralized, but this is getting ridiculous. He doesn't deserve the job that he has.
The thing is, though, if he comes out and apologizes for what's going to happen, what should probably happen, people have sympathy for him.
Why?
Why?
I don't know why. That's what the general public usually does.
Oh, yeah. I am sorry for ruining somebody's career when I really could have just done the right thing the first time. No.
And then the owners will stand behind him and say, he admitted his faults, and, we support him all the same, and he stays in his job.
Yeah, because he's helping us get more money.
Exactly.
No, but you know what? I think that if he had done that the first time and said, hey, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to go to this hearing. I need to be at this hearing. It is my job to be at this hearing. Instead of trying to save face yet again, which is what got him into this problem in the first place. That is the whole situation to begin with, is that he couldn't be man enough to say that he screwed up the first time. Instead, he had to throw somebody else under the bus to try to save his own ass. That's crap. You're not. I have no respect for somebody like that. That's just not right.
All right, it's time that I throw. I know you are just like chomping at the
Bear's
bit.
out of cage.
It's time that I throw you under the bus by moving on from this segment, so you don't have to mention him ever again.
Why are we talking about NBA now? Because now you can just throw me right under the front.
We're quickly going to mention the World Series before we move on to our NBA Central preview. World Series Game 2, the Royals got a little feisty.
Yeah.
Finally.
Well, I mean, hey.
Game 1, they kind of just said, you know what, Madison Bumgarner, you're really good. You held us on base. We couldn't steal against you. But last night they came to life in the 7th inning, 6th inning, something like that. Did anybody actually watch this?
I didn't watch last night, honestly.
No?
No, I didn't. I'm not going to try to make it up. The Game 1 I watched, and it was a terrible showing, so I figured, kind of the same. Last night,
it was the other way around.
Yeah, it really was.
Except this time we said Jake Peavy's not a clutch pitcher or anything of the sort, and he got kind of hit around. 5 innings pitched, 4 earned runs. He just didn't get the job done. Was letting people on base, and that's what you expect from Jake Peavy. I mean, what were you expecting starting Game 2 of the World Series?
I mean, coming out of this, the Giants obviously got what they wanted. They got the split. Royals, they got the momentum back, so it'd be interesting going back to, they do 2-3-2, I believe, right, for
Correct.
baseball. So they're going to go back and they're going to, play games 3, 4, and 5 in San Francisco. It'd be interesting to see if the Royals can keep up the momentum from last night.
Yep, we got Game 3 is Jeremy Guthrie, who pitched Game 3. He also pitched Game 3 of the LCS. 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run. And Tim Hudson, who's had 1 good start and 1 crappy start in the playoffs so far, but he's a veteran guy. I figure he's going to go out there and have a nice showing. Jeremy Guthrie, no clue. No clue.
We kind of said this. We kind of alluded to this. Whoever can get pitching, their starting pitching, to go deep into the game is going to have the upper hand all throughout the entire series, and that's pretty much what happened last night.
Yeah, Ventura actually pitched a fairly
he
decent
pitched well.
game.
They did pitch. They took him out after 5 1/3.
Yep.
But maybe that was a smart move by Ned Yost, because Peavy goes 5 innings and he gets lit up in the 6th inning.
It's true.
And 5 runs on the board.
We have to give a special shout out to someone who's been truly atrocious in this playoff. I think he's a rookie, Hunter Strickland in the bullpen for San Francisco. 5 home runs in 5.1 innings pitched in the playoffs so far.
What's funny is a lot of announcers were talking about how this guy is the future for the Giants. That's really, really rough to have that label on you and then just get absolutely plastered.
He throws like a little over 100. He's scorching the ball, but he's placing it right down the groove. It's not smart.
That's kind of what a lot of pitchers nowadays have. They come in, they have a really hard fastball, maybe 2 or 3 other pitches, maybe. But yeah, no, he's getting beat up.
That's why you see a lot of pitchers fizzle out now, because their arms are dead after a couple seasons and they can't develop more pitches.
Our boy Fernandez from Miami.
Yeah.
He was on a tear to start the season, but then
See you later.
he tore his UCL.
Quickly before we move on, who do you got in game 3 in San Francisco?
Giants.
I'm going to take the Giants in this one. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going a little weird here. I think Jeremy Guthrie pitched well in his last start. I'm going with Guthrie.
We don't have any idea what we're talking about, so it could be worth it.
You know what? We don't have any idea what we're talking about when it comes to baseball, but although fantasy we do because we can actually look at stats, but this is a little bit out there. But we're moving on to NBA where I actually know what I'm talking about. You two, not so much. It's okay. You're learning. You learned NBA fantasy last season, Nick. You were admittedly a rookie, but you started to pick it up as the season went on.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so we're going to talk about the Central. I'm going to start off with last year's number 1 team who I expect to drop close to the basement, and it's the Indiana Pacers. They had quite the offseason, I would say.
You really think that they're just dead without Paul George?
I do.
Not just Paul George. They lost their top 2 players from last season. They lost Paul George and Lance Stevenson.
All right, but Lance Stevenson was kind of like a planned departure.
No, he was not a planned departure at all. They tried very, very hard to get him to resign.
Well, obviously not hard enough.
They offered him all the money they offered him more money than Charlotte ended up giving him.
Well, obviously it wasn't enough.
He went to Charlotte. Right? Okay, I was like, I'm pretty sure he went to Charlotte.
Yeah, he went to Charlotte. I think he had a kind of a different, mindset, and he wasn't really getting along with Coach Frank Vogel very well.
Hold on. He had a different mindset. Nobody knows what mindset Lance Stevenson has
he was
ever.
blowing in LeBron James's ear.
Yeah, he is a mental case in all aspects of like.
I was trying to put it lightly. Kind of a different mindset.
Not kind. No, he's a nut job. Everyone that's played with like David West doesn't like him. Yeah. Paul George, that's his homie as he claims. But I mean,
well, so that's what I'm talking about, though, isn't it? Weren't they kind of maybe seeing that as a positive?
What, that he's gone?
Yeah.
He's okay. He's a triple-double.
I know he's a triple-double guy on a lot. He has done, 5 to 10 last year?
Yeah, he's one of those guys.
Fine.
He's one of those guys. He's so rare. He comes off the bench. He's your 6th man. He actually runs your second unit and isn't that upset about it. Like most players are like, oh, I want to start. He's like, screw it.
Okay, so you're telling me that the Pacers offered him more money than Charlotte did, and he was the 6th man coming off the bench, and he wasn't upset about that?
Who knows? Who knows? Honestly,
okay. Well, you just said that he wasn't upset about it.
That's what I don't remember him coming out in the media and saying, "I want to start."
Well, obviously, if he's going to take less money to play somewhere else so that he can be a starter, then he must have been upset with something in Indiana.
I don't know what's in his brain.
This is why basketball is full of sissies. Okay. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
None of it makes sense.
I love how you took that out of talking about Lance Stevenson being a crazy person. All right, coming after the break, we are continuing our NBA Central Division preview, and you're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on 105.5 The Team.
The Star Fantasy League show. Information is key to being a successful fantasy team owner, and the guys have all the updated info you need right now. Okay, fantasy sports fans.
There's a letter in your mailbox.
Time to dig into Donald's mailbag for your questions and comments.
Read the mail, read the mail, read the mail.
Jump in the game. Send your questions and comments to the Star Fantasy League's team by tweeting at SFL Show.
That is true. You can tweet us at SFL Show if you want to be part of Donald's mailbag or Footer's universe. But today we are breaking down the NBA Central Division. Did you like that music again? I was singing for you.
How many teams were in this division?
5.
Wrong. There's only 2. Come on.
What do you mean there's only 2?
There's only 2 in this division.
Okay, so I said...
None of the other ones matter.
Okay, we're going to talk about the 2 obvious ones, but first we were talking about Indiana before the break. Lance Stevenson leaving was a big deal. Paul George probably out for the season, but wouldn't you have him out for the full season?
Way.
They said he's out. They said this is an 8 to 10 month injury.
No way.
Yeah.
He broke the bone through the skin.
He's already on his feet.
Okay.
He's already moving around. He's playing basketball with his dog.
Yeah, they showed the video. Did you see him move at all?
Yeah, he was killing it.
No, he didn't move.
He was schooling that puppy.
Get out of here. All right, you can't have a serious conversation about that. So, Footer, I'm going to ask you, do you think there's any reason to play Paul George this season at all?
I guess if the timetable that they're shooting for him to come back would be the last month of the season, last couple of weeks, they're in somewhat contention, maybe, but they're not going to be in contention, so there's really no point at that point.
Yeah, wouldn't you rather, like, let's say we're a couple games out of the playoffs. Wouldn't you rather just not try to make the playoffs? Don't rush him back. If you get a lottery pick, congratulations. You're going to get one of the best players in the league for the next year.
I guess
that's basically a free pickup. Like, you basically traded for a higher pick is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't foresee them contending for that last spot, especially because I feel like we talked about yesterday, I think they might end up moving Roy Hibbert to, help their team out at some point this season. So they're probably going to be even worse.
Yeah, that Roy Hibbert thing's a little weird. He I don't know. He's still one of the best defensive big men in the league. There are so many teams that need just an absolute shutdown center, but they're like, oh, he doesn't do all these other things.
Well, I mean, really, do you think that the guy that we saw after the All-Star break last year was the real Roy Hibbert?
Would the real Roy Hibbert please stand
No,
up?
I'm serious.
We're not
I mean,
sure.
do you really think that was...
That whole team was there was something
something
weird
wrong with
going.
the team,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know if it was just Roy. They put it on his back because a lot of time Roy Hibbert doesn't score,
Yep.
but he's not a scoring center.
No, he's a double-double guy, but we're talking low points. You're talking 10 to
10
15
and 10
points.
Yeah, that's 10 and 10.
So, I mean, I think he should be fine, and I don't know that I would move him. I think I would keep him.
Do you know where he gets most of his points? Offensive rebounds and putbacks.
Yeah.
So he's not a gifted offensive player. So they're all expecting him to be like, oh, step back and take these shots. He gets his points from rebounding. He doesn't create his own shot. He's not that type of player.
But I think that that's okay because the way that the Pacers are built is for a defensive-minded team.
Yeah, and he's the centerpiece of that.
He's the centerpiece
That's
of it.
like
So
Tyson Chandler. Do you hear people talking crap about him because he can't score?
That's
not his point.
He was my boy. I talked about him yesterday.
I know.
They're basically the same guy.
Yeah, except Roy Hibbert's like 7 years younger than him.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, John. I think that when you have Paul George, David West, and Roy Hibbert as your three front court guys, you get a pick at one of the top picks if you lose out this year. So yeah, it could be a strategy thing. We could be seeing the Indianapolis Colts of Indiana Pacers.
Losing big
Manning.
this season.
Yeah.
It's basically a tank, but knowing your pieces are coming back next year.
Yep.
Which is, I think that's a smart idea. I really think tanking is smart for them.
I agree.
How much do you think Rodney Stuckey's signing will help them?
Who
at all?
cares? It doesn't matter. The season doesn't matter.
Maybe in the long run. Maybe as a bench player.
No, he'll be starting at the 2 alongside George Hill, I guess. But
Yeah.
he's going to score. He doesn't really do much else. He frustrates opposing two guards on defense.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. What if they got a 2 guard in the draft and he
see you
becomes
later.
a bench?
Yeah, go to the bench. He could be a Lance type guy. I don't know. This team bores the crap out of me. We got to move on to teams that don't matter at all. Milwaukee's going to be interesting to watch. They won the least games. We talk about Philadelphia being the worst, but Milwaukee was actually the worst team in the league last year, if you can believe that.
Yeah, so why are they interesting?
They are interesting because they have a lot of interesting young pieces on this team. Jabari Parker, who I think is going to be the best player in the draft right away. He's got an NBA body. They keep talking about Wiggins not being big enough. He doesn't really have a position. Jabari Parker he's an NBA player. He could be a guy that comes in and scores 20 to 25 points a game right away, especially on this team.
Really?
Yeah.
I think he would start off somewhere more in the 15 to 18 range if he was going to be a featured player.
He's going to get a chance to score 20 a game, I'm telling you.
Get a chance, sure, but this team is bad. This is a bad team.
I'm interested. I think they got some pieces. Giannis, last year, if you redid that draft, would probably be a top 2 or 3 pick.
Do you know how to pronounce his last name?
Antetokounmpo.
Antetokounmpo.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like him quite a bit.
Yeah.
He's 6'11", and he plays basically point guard or off shooting guard.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible, absolutely incredible. I like him a lot. Larry Sanders is a nutcase. Either way, I can't really understand what they're going to do with him. This team is I don't know.
You have Larry Sanders and Ilyasova as two of your starters.
Ilyasova is actually a pretty good player.
Oh, come on. Where are they going to go with him?
You serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
He's an above average 4.
Oh, whatever. Okay, fine. Put them up against Cleveland, Chicago. Put them up against
Those are the top.
Miami, even without LeBron James.
Yeah, they got Chris.
So
Chris
okay,
Bosh and buckets.
I get the idea that hey, he's an above average player, so he's still going to fit in, but that doesn't help them. That doesn't help them get into the playoffs. An above average player at your 4 position is not going to cut it. Not going to cut it.
Okay.
So all I'm saying is that's nice, but I'm not that interested in a team that's probably only going to get 25 wins this year if they're lucky.
Yeah, that's where I have them. 20 to 25 is probably where they're going. But I think they're a team that's on the uptick. They're like
they have to be. There's nowhere to go but up.
That's not true.
Yeah,
look
so
at
they're
Philadelphia.
either going to suck
Look at
just like they
Philadelphia.
did last year, or they're going to win 5 or 10 more
We're
games.
spending way too much time talking about teams.
I agree.
We're spending too much time talking about teams that don't matter. Detroit, they're intriguing only because I think they're making moves. Stan Van Gundy came in. He's one of those guys that got the head coaching and the GM position at the same time, which is very important because he's going to go in there right away. Greg Monroe signed a 1-year contract. I think he's probably going to be dealt, or Josh Smith's going to be dealt because guess what? Andre Drummond is the best piece on that team right now. He's the guy that could potentially be a 20 and 15 guy.
Agreed.
He is a beast.
I think you keep Brandon Jennings and Andre Drummond as the guys. You take those as the guys to build around. Jennings can at least score.
That's true.
He's not consistent, but he can at least score. And then, Josh Smith has been wanting to be traded from every team that he's ever been on. So
he's
ahead and trade him.
I can't deal with him.
I really like
Greg Monroe, though. I feel like they should keep Greg.
I love Greg Monroe.
I think he's great.
He's a guy that can score. He went
Yeah.
to school with Roy Hibbert. They kind of get lumped into the same thing.
Agreed.
He's a power forward, not a center.
Yeah.
I think I really like Drummond this year to be the top rebounder this year in the league. I think he's going to be better than DeAndre
Yeah, if he doesn't
Jordan.
get ejected every other game.
That's true. Or it's like 6 fouls.
Yep.
He likes to get 6 fouls a
He
lot.
loves to get fouled.
All right, so I think this team is a piece away. They're going to make a move in mid-season or during the break-ish sometime.
One player I did like that they had is DJ Augustine, actually. As a
I
role player.
love that pickup for them. As a backup point guard, somebody to run your second offense.
Definitely.
I think Chicago was dumb to let him go, but they got Aaron Brooks. So not the worst trade in the world that's both capable backup point guards.
But Chicago's probably operating under the idea that, hey, we're getting Derrick Rose back. We don't need a scoring point guard anymore.
But you still need a second guy to run the unit. And
Yeah.
DJ Augustine actually did run the second unit very well.
Yeah, he
It
averaged
turned out to be
about,
the
I think it was
front
about 12 to 15 points last year per game. I really enjoyed watching Augustine play. I was kind of sad to see him go.
guy. That is true. All right. Yeah, you are Chicago Bulls guys, so we're going to talk about these two teams together because they're going to be the cream of the crop in the East. The Chicago Bulls and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Man, the Cleveland Cavaliers, I'm coming home, play the stupid music. LeBron James is back. Not only that, but he somehow convinced Cleveland to put all their eggs into Kevin Love's basket, and now they have a disgusting and young big three.
Yeah, it's the overhaul from last season. There's like 8 new guys here and 8 guys gone. Like the biggest overhaul from any roster possible in the league. So.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm a little concerned that this is the same thing that happened in Miami the first year when they didn't win the title, where it was the big three and the other guys. The only guys that I like on this team right now are Deion Waiters and Tristan Thompson, who were already there. I still think they are super, super thin at center, and that's the same thing that Miami had. They had that big issue. They don't have anybody to rebound the ball. Who's rebounding the ball?
Miami made the NBA Finals 4 years in a row.
Yes.
So you don't need a center with this team.
You need a center.
No, you don't. They won 2 championships.
I don't care.
And no, you don't care. So you don't care that they won 2 championships
Hold on.
and went to 4.
Serious question. If they had a capable center,
Who
they
cares?
would have won 4.
They won 2. They won 2. That is good. That you can't deny the fact that they won without a center.
I still personally think trading Tyler Zeller away was actually a bigger deal than they're letting on because Anderson Varejao was the only real true center on this team.
That's fine.
Brendan Haywood is a perennial journeyman backup.
That's fine.
Tyler Zeller was actually showing flashes of being a good player the last 3 years or 2
Agree.
2
I
years.
totally agree.
So
but
Boston picked him up for nothing.
Okay, I totally agree with everything that you just said, but answer me this. Does this team finish anything but first in this division?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah. 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
So you think Chicago is going to win this division?
Don't forget.
I will put it down
forget,
right
hold
now.
on.
Let's go.
Chicago-
What do we got?
Chicago won the conference multiple years
Correct.
when Miami
That's great.
had
Correct.
all their big three too. So
Chicago is hold on. I
All
think
right.
this team is going to be a playoff team. Chicago is more interested in getting the number 1 seed, so they don't have to worry about playing game set on the road.
Okay,
they are
I-
more
I-
interested.
I don't think the Bulls will necessarily finish higher than Cleveland this year.
gonna
When
be
it
close.
comes to the end of the season, I think they win the division though. So
I honestly think
Okay.
Tom Thibodeau does not take games off. He doesn't rest players.
Okay.
I think that they're going to do a smart
So what
thing.
are we putting on the line? Because I guarantee Cleveland finishes ahead of Chicago.
name it.
Whatever you're in the
Dress.
mood
Do
for.
the dress bet. Do the dress bet.
All right, fine.
What's I got it. I'm not a pro on this. What's the dress bet?
All right.
Whoever loses has to wear a dress.
With many PR
Yeah,
opportunities.
yeah, oh yeah. We'll make you throw the first pitch in a dress.
Oh, there
Not
will
true.
be
We'll
there
never
will
get to
be
do
many
that.
marketable PR.
Just say
opportunities.
yes so we can have this
All
over
right,
with.
all right.
All
right.
Perfect. We're gonna have a dress bet on.
I
Star-
cannot believe I'm going to be rooting for LeBron James
That's
and the
embarrassing.
Cavaliers because
Well,
of
of
you two.
course he's rooting for Chicago because that's his team.
It
Talk
is.
about what they did in the offseason real quick. We got a few minutes.
I mean, they probably picked up one of my favorite players in college football or basketball.
College football?
Yes,
All right.
Excuse me to watch. And Dougie McBucket's Doug McDermott. They did.
You think he's an NBA player, really?
Yeah, he's good. He's gonna be a good shooter.
What's his position?
Shooter.
Really?
Yeah.
The guy is like 350 pounds. What's
No,
his position?
he's not.
He's a slow,
dude.
big dude.
So he's a spot-up shooter.
Again, I don't think he has a natural position. He's gonna have a lot of trouble guarding wings, which means he's gonna be yanked a lot.
And Tom Thibodeau
Yeah.
Is
is
gonna
one
yank him a lot.
But he's one of the best coaches when it comes to teaching defense. and I think he.
I just don't think this guy is athletically gifted enough to play the position.
He is 6'8", 225.
He's not 225.
6'8", 225 is what he's listed at.
Futter, you've looked at him before. He's not 225.
You think he thinks he's 350 pounds?
I don't think he's that big. I think he's closer to
350.
probably 250 than they're letting on.
Okay, but he's 6'8".
He's a big dude.
So you can be 250 when you're 6'8" and still be very athletic.
Futter, continue.
Either way, in the offseason, their big move obviously was bringing Paul Gasol in. They let Carlos Boozer go.
Yay, finally.
One of the unheralded moves, which I really like, is finally getting Nikolai Mirotic to sign a contract. They drafted him, I believe, 3 years ago.
Yep.
And
he's a shooter, too.
Yes, I'm really excited to see him.
Can't
Obviously,
play defense either, but
true.
Of course. Thanks, Tom Thibodeau.
But he's joining the top defensive team in the league, so he doesn't really have to,
And they'll be going up against the top offensive team in the league multiple times.
Yeah. We're gonna continue this argument coming up after the break. We also got a Week 8 NFL fantasy breakdown. You're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on 105.5 The Team.
Play fantasy sports for cash prizes. Join the top daily and weekly fantasy leagues in the country at starfantasyleagues.com. Now, back to the Star Fantasy League show with Jonathan, Zach, and Nick. Only on The Team.
Nope. We're back on the Star Fantasy League show with Jonathan, Nick, and Matt Futter's last day on the show because he's being fired.
Woo! Next time when they get Ron, just go nope and just keep going. Just do that.
No?
Oh.
You don't want to be mentioned at all? Fine, we don't have to mention you.
Yeah, exactly.
We are going to mention your Chicago Bulls, though. We have a nice dress bet for those of you who weren't listening before the break. If Chicago finishes ahead in the regular season standings, Nick, you have to wear a dress. But if Cleveland finishes ahead in the standings, Footer, you got to wear a dress. We're going to do some fun
Footer's a pretty skinny guy. I think he could probably come in at a size 2 or a size 4, maybe.
We'll go 4 comfortably.
I hate to say that I know what size I am in women's clothes.
Wow.
Hey, I'm going for Halloween as a costume I can't mention on the air because it has to do something with
And how does that make you feel?
Uncomfortable.
It doesn't make you feel empowered.
No.
He's the one who brought this up. We didn't ask about this.
No, didn't I? But I would like to know more.
No, you will never ever know more unless you're at my my Halloween party this weekend.
I'm gonna find it out.
Next weekend.
I'm gonna find out where you're gonna be, buddy.
That's a little weird. Of course, you're gonna stalk my Facebook, you creeper. All right, we got to talk about this. You think it's going to be Chicago? You think Chicago did enough in the offseason with getting, obviously, Pau Gasol, getting McBuckets, getting Mirotic to come over finally?
And technically, they got Derrick Rose back.
They did.
They add that. They got one of the best all-around players in the game, and I'm talking about not the best scorer, but all-around in Jimmy Butler. Good defender.
You said one of the best players in the game in Jimmy Butler?
All around.
No.
You only Butler?
No, Jimmy Butler's not a top, 50 player right now. No. He's a young up-and-coming guy, but top.
I'll tell you who are a couple of top 50 players.
Stop
you
it.
got LeBron James.
That's top 10.
You got Kevin Love.
Top 10.
And you got Kyrie Irving.
Top 20.
All 3 of them are in the top 20.
But here's the thing. You know what the biggest thing that the Chicago Bulls have going for them? Experience together.
Good for you.
Because
the NBA hasn't proven over the past 5 years that you don't need any experience to get to the championship. You don't need any. None.
All right.
You just need to say, hey, I play basketball, and I'm pretty damn
Quick,
good.
name 3 of the players that I didn't already mention on Cleveland's roster without looking. You already looked.
Besides Anderson Varejao?
Yeah, and Tristan Thompson and Deion Waiters. Name any of the supporting cast.
Why does it matter after that? Why does any of it matter after that?
No team has ever won with 7 players.
Jarrett Jack is on a team.
No, he's not.
Maybe he is.
No, he's in New
I don't
Jersey.
know. Fine.
Brooklyn.
Who cares?
He brought
Who
over.
cares?
He brought
It
over.
doesn't matter.
Mike Miller.
Dwayne
he brought over
Wade,
James
Chris Bosh,
Jones.
LeBron
Mike
James.
Miller's not playing
That's
for
all they needed.
Yes?
They had Joel Anthony as their damn starting center.
That's what I'm saying. You need
Yeah,
some ringers
he
on it.
didn't matter. They went to 4 straight NBA finals.
And could have won 4 if they had a decent center.
Nope.
No, they could
No,
have.
I don't agree.
Okay. All right, we got to move on.
You think they were going to beat the Spurs last year? Did you think that they were going to beat the Spurs with
that
the
team was
best
really good.
shooting performance in the NBA Finals history?
They shouldn't have beat them the year before. If you watched Game
Agreed.
6, they should never have won that game.
Yeah,
never have won the
agreed.
series.
Shot.
So then it would have been 1 in 4 years they won. But they won 2.
But they were
somehow
there for
won
4
2.
of them.
All right, we got to talk about Week 8 of the NFL season and fantasy implications on StarFantasyLeagues.com.
Finally, something I can talk about.
I know, right? Oh, you've been talking about the Bulls. It's fine. Over $16,000 in guaranteed prize pools. You can join right now. StarFantasyLeagues.com. There's so many contests. $500 free roll, $6,000 guaranteed. Big games.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to talk about it. Thursday night's contest, that's tonight. We haven't really talked about the game at all. San Diego at Denver. This is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, probably by far the best Thursday night game of the year so far.
Yeah.
And last week's Thursday night game was actually pretty good too.
The first one.
But I'm really interested in this matchup. Obviously, San Diego proved to be Denver's kryptonite last year. They played really well against them.
Almost beat them in the playoffs.
Yeah, Keenan Allen went off against them last year, so I'm actually looking for him to be a bounce-back game tonight. He's listed at 7,400 on our site, so I think he's a good play this week.
He hasn't done anything this year.
Who, Keenan Allen?
Yeah, he's been in nothing.
Yeah, I've been steering clear of him every week. There's no... Sorry, I had a feeling going into the year, and it's all played out.
I haven't been a fan of him all year, but I think against Denver, I don't know. I just got this.
You're just taking a shot in the dark?
Yeah.
Okay.
Their defense has been really good.
Who, Denver's?
Denver's.
Yeah.
I agree.
Especially with Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware.
But Phillip Rivers is having an MVP-type season, so he is
but how is he going to do that when he's on his back?
Yeah, this is true.
It's true.
I'm going all Denver. If you're playing Thursday night contest on StarFantasyLeagues.com, you have to be putting Denver players in here. San Diego's defense has been pretty capable, but this game is in Denver. I expect, again, division matchup, whatever. There's going to be some points put up in this game on the side of Denver, definitely. Hillman's still cheap.
I actually like Hillman a lot tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, San Diego's run defense isn't as good as they've been billed so far. I think they've faced some weak competition in the run game. I think they've kind of skated by a little bit.
They looked terrible last week against Jamal Charles and
it's Jamal Charles though. If you
look at the combination of running backs that have gone up against San Diego every week, they've actually gotten gouged a couple of times. Week 1 against Arizona, they had Stephon Taylor and Andre Ellington, the two of them combined for 22 fantasy points. Marshawn Lynch, 16. Fred Jackson, 25. Like, they've gotten scored on. And Hillman has already shown that he can run against pretty good defense.
And he's cheap.
He's cheap.
You got to get that in there.
That's true.
Yeah, pretty much any combination you put in this game from Denver, I'm interested in. But let's move on to Sunday. Chicago and New England. Boy, has Chicago fallen off a cliff, especially with that Cutler guy. What's his name, Smokin' Joe?
Yeah, apparently they had it out in the locker room, but I got to be honest, I'm actually not worried about that at all. I don't even think it's a story.
No.
I just think that's
Brandon Marshall likes to yell.
Yeah,
a lot.
Exactly. I think that's Brandon Marshall's personality mixed with the frustrations of a loss that they definitely shouldn't have lost that game. So I'm not worried about it, and I think Brandon Marshall is going to get hit with a ton of targets regardless. He is probably going to go up against the man, the island, so we'll see. I think he'll be okay.
And that's why I like Alshon Jeffrey in this game.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. They can use either one.
Both of the guys are listed under $10,000 on the site, so I think Jeffrey's going to, steal the targets that aren't coming Marshall's way. Against Revis Island 2 weeks ago, they only threw to Sammy Watkins. Buffalo did twice, I believe, because they were scared of him. So, the second target, Robert Woods, had a nice game. So I feel like that's what's going to happen.
You're comparing Orton and Cutler here?
Yeah, stop that.
They both
they both look homeless, to be fair. That's a thing. They both look pretty homeless.
Jay Cutler loves to force the issue.
Yep.
He really does, and he loves Brandon Marshall. And I would even argue that Brandon Marshall can tell Jay Cutler whatever he wants, and Jay Cutler will do it.
He doesn't care. A guy that I actually like for Chicago in this game is, again, Matt Forte, who's been the most consistent running back in the NFL because he can catch the ball. Mm-hmm. Anytime I would
argue Murray's more consistent this season.
No. Overall as a player.
Forte got shut down against San Francisco week 2, I believe.
He should get shut down one game this season.
Yeah, but Murray's got
all
over
right.
100.
I think Footer's got a point. I would call him the second most consistent. He's only had 2 games below 20 points though. So John, you are 100% correct.
I'm saying out of the top guys, I trust Matt Forte to be good every single week. Especially against a defense like this. New England, I don't think New England, especially with Mayo out.
I agree. I mean, I think there are times where I'm like, man, is DeMarco Murray really going to keep this going? Like,
yeah, exactly.
He's a workhorse between the tackles running back, whereas Forte is involved in the running game or passing game a lot.
I'm never worried about
Something we have to consider, too, Chandler Jones is out for 4 weeks. So that's huge for New England because there's not going to be as much pressure on Cutler.
And no Mayo in the middle.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously.
Forte can run wild.
They tried to add Akeem Ayers this week. That's not going to do anything. But
all right, but we didn't mention the team that will be scoring a lot in this game. How about New England? New England's a big favorite.
I think they're both going to score.
Yeah.
I think both teams will
I
score.
know, but I think New England's the team to target because all their guys are really inexpensive. Brady 15-8, Gronk 11,000, Shane Vereen at 10-2 is an absolute steal. He got all the targets. He got all the carries. I think he's an easy 100 yards combined on the day guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Combined.
Combined. This is 4 catches for 60
They played
yards.
the Jets last week, right?
Yeah, and their run defense actually pretty
Okay. So here's my thing with the Jets defense really quickly. The running backs that have beat them have been scat backs, and I think New England is very good at game planning against certain defenses, and I have a feeling that Shane Vereen is not going to lead this backfield in targets, or not targets, I'm sorry, but touches. I have a feeling that they're going to go with somebody like Jonas Gray or Brandon Bolden, and it's going to throw a wrench in everybody's spokes.
But I'm okay with that because Chicago's secondary is so bad. I think it's going to open up things down low to pass the ball to Shane Vereen regardless.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's what I mean is the Jets stack up against the run.
Yeah.
They stack up against that power back, which is why Shane Vereen was such an attractive play last week. I don't know. You just never know with this offense because Belichick's like, I don't know what fantasy football is, and I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm going to play whoever works.
Chicago's defensive backs are so bad. That's why I think Brady and the wide receivers are going to have huge games and not necessarily the running backs.
All right, so who are you taking as a wide receiver? Gronk and like LaFell or something?
I mean, Edelman's only 10,800. I take him
I would
right
say
there.
that's a pretty good idea, yeah.
Perfect. All right, let's move on to one more game before we head to break. Indianapolis at Pittsburgh. The Colts are 3.5-point favorites in this game. Disrespectful.
Yeah.
Disrespectful to the Steelers. They just had a nice little win.
Wait, what?
You're saying the Colts would be 9.5-point favorites against Pittsburgh?
I
Really?
would probably put them at like 5.5, 6.
Yeah, so then that would be closer to like an even money.
No, I mean on the road.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah.
You are so
Oh,
off.
yeah.
You are so off.
Okay, I'm not touching anybody on Pittsburgh in this game. Not a chance.
Why? Because Indy's
No
defense,
one.
even Indy's defense looked good once against
They've been okay.
against a Cincy team without AJ Green. You're now on board with Indy's defense.
No, they've been pretty solid all year long. Yeah, they have. Absolutely.
I still like Brown. He's literally tearing up every defense that he's coming against.
They're giving them the ball like to a detriment. They're just like, here, have the ball.
But he's 18,000.
Yeah, that is true.
And the Colts cornerbacks have been pretty good at shutting down the pass.
But
They've been pretty good at locking down. I know nobody's going to stop Antonio Brown, but if I'm going to pick a wide receiver, I want somebody with a much higher ceiling.
somebody like T.Y. Hilton in this game?
Sure.
Somebody like
T.Y. Hilton is just killing it.
Somebody like Reggie Wayne. Although Reggie Wayne has been like just the guy. He's been the guy.
He's hampered this year, but he is still under $10,000. He's
True.
a guy who could get you 7-8 catches for the game. So
I have a big fantasy alert for everybody playing on StarFantasyLeagues.com. Andrew Luck is under the maximum. He's under the maximum. He went from 25,000 to 24,500. Whoa, are we
bargain of the
excited
week.
now?
Bargain of the week. He's
No.
one of my value guys.
Yeah, right. The problem is he's just too expensive. He's a guy who's going to get you between 20 and 30 fantasy points, and with all the guys who were like 10 to 15,000, they can get you like 15 to 20. So there's no point in touching Andrew Luck. Although in season long, you want him. Like he's the guy.
He's winning you your league.
Yeah, he literally can win you.
That's the problem with daily. A lot of people think, oh yeah, Andrew Luck's going to get the most points, but if it's so fractional between a guy that's $7,000 or $8,000 less, you take the guy that's less every single time, especially at the quarter. That's where I save money every time. Right?
Agreed. Yep.
That's where you should be saving money on StarFantasyLeagues.com. Definitely. All right, what about Ahmad Bradshaw as the last guy? He's up there. He's 14.5.
Still no love. Still no love for my boy Trent Richardson.
He's not even the number one back on this team.
Okay. Oh my God. If he didn't get hurt last week, it would have been a monster day, and it would have been the coming out party. I guarantee it. If he play, I know he's been hindered in practice this week. If he plays, I think he has another great game. I think he has another 15 to 20 fantasy
I
points.
will admit the Steelers' front seven is banged up.
It's banged up.
I can't name half the guys. This is the first time ever in Steeler history I can't name the front seven.
James Harrison still playing?
Yeah, that's the problem. James Harrison is playing in these games.
I think both guys are in play.
All right, coming up after the break, we are finishing our breakdown of Week 8 of the NFL season. You're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on 105.5 The Team.
You're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show. Contact the StarFantasyLeagues.com guys via Twitter at SFL Show.
We are back, and we got to break down the rest of the games for Week 8 of the NFL schedule on StarFantasyLeagues.com. Let's get right into it. Western New York's Buffalo Bills at the New York Jets. Somehow the New York Jets are a 3-point favorite in this game. No respect to Buffalo.
Yeah.
They have one win.
Okay, but Buffalo pulled off a miracle win against Minnesota
And
at
Detroit.
home.
And Detroit.
Should never have been that close.
Buffalo never plays well in New York either. New Jersey, excuse me.
New York, New Jersey, the Meadowlands. There you go.
Thank you. I love the Bills' defense, though. I really do.
Yep.
I think they're a great plug and play almost every week now. I mean, they get so many sacks, it's ridiculous.
On our site, they're actually listed behind the Falcons and the Panthers price-wise. I don't understand how that's
Unbelievable.
possible.
They're not scoring "quote-unquote" fantasy points. That's the problem.
I think this
Four
is
turnovers last week, I believe.
I understand.
3 turnovers.
I think this is one where they could get a couple of turnovers again.
Geno interception machine?
Well,
Yeah,
but here's the
definitely.
thing. They do have Percy Harvin coming in. I know they're not going to use him a ton in his first week. They might get him out there for 25 to 30 plays. But at the same time, they do have Eric Decker. They could move the ball a little bit. I still think Buffalo can get to the quarterback in this one.
Both of the running backs, Bryce Brown and Dixon, both listed at 3,000. I think taking a shot on either one of the guys is fine this week.
Booby.
Dixon.
Booby.
I think
I'm fine with
first.
either. I'm sure Dixon's probably going to get the majority of it, but if you want to take a gamble, Brown's a guy that could possibly break the.
I'm going to sound like a hypocrite here, but I think Kyle Orton at 11,889 is a decent play this week.
Yeah.
Well, the Jets are
Their
horrible.
secondary is
They
bad.
are horrible.
I've been
against
saying it the last 3 weeks.
And
Ride
Sam-
Orton, man.
and
Yeah,
Sammy
you've
Watkins.
been saying it the last 3 weeks, and he's been
Bad.
failing.
Yeah, Sammy Watkins at 11,400 is pretty
He
good.
threw
too.
a miracle last-second touchdown.
He
Doesn't
did.
matter. Fantasy points. It
Stop
all
it.
counts.
All right, we're moving on from this game. Philadelphia at Arizona. I got to say it. I sound like a broken record. Pick opposing tight ends against Arizona, especially if they are good. They are one of the worst teams in the last 3 years against the tight end position for fantasy. Zach Ertz, 83.54, my tight end of the week. Easy.
Yeah, I could see
Easy
that.
game.
They're not the worst anymore this season.
Okay, but last year they were number one by far. This year they're 3 or 4 or something like that.
Seattle's 3, so they got to be either
4. Last week
below
they were third against opposing tight
One
ends.
guy I'm willing to take the gamble on, even though Arizona's very good against the running backs, is McCoy at his price.
Of course, 10,121.
You're never going to really see him cheaper than that.
Nope.
The way his production's been before the bye week, he was had his best game of the season. So
For Arizona, I love anybody against Philadelphia. Ellington's in play. Palmer's been great this year, 16.9. He's worth the play if you want to save a little money from the top guys.
Floyd's
Michael
under
Floyd,
10,000.
yep.
Even Larry Fitzgerald's actually under 7,400 right now. So
Correct.
Yeah, I don't know. That's more for good reason, though.
Yeah, that is true. He's been getting less
Larry's
and
been
less,
dropping
and less
off hard.
targets. All right, let's move on. Oakland, Cleveland. I don't want to touch this game with a 400-foot pole right now.
there's one guy I really like, Tate, because Oakland is one of the worst teams against the run, and at his price, 8,500.
But who's getting the target? I fell into this trap last week. I picked Tate. A lot of other people picked Tate, and he wasn't the guy.
It's true.
He's just not 100% the guy.
The only thing I will say is that Cleveland is coming back home. It's still another trap game for him.
I'm coming.
It's another trap game.
It's all LeBron's fault. It's LeBron's fault.
I think Cleveland should be okay in this one, though. I think he might be right. Oakland's run defense is atrocious.
Yeah, they're atrocious.
so bad.
They're decent against the pass, although they've given up 11 passing touchdowns. I like Cameron under 6,000, actually.
We've all failed on Cameron last week. Oh, what are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? All right, last 2 games. Green Bay, New Orleans. I'm sure you're going to put everything in that game.
Well, when Aaron Rodgers is on fire, you really just don't even question it.
Everything, right? If you're putting in Rodgers, Nelson, Cobb, you can't be
Even
wrong.
Eddie Lacy.
Can't go wrong.
Lacy's under 10,000. New Orleans isn't the best defense out there.
I'm getting burned by Lacy, though.
All right, other side of the ball. Jimmy Graham's healthy. You kind of have to play him in this matchup, right?
I don't
against
know if
Green
he's
Bay.
healthy.
I'm saying if he is healthy, you play him.
Yeah, at 11,000, I think it's worth it. So
And Washington, Dallas, just please play Dallas. They're 10, they're
almost
10-point
have their
favorites.
whole
Streamer
team put
defense, Dallas defense, especially if they play Colt McCoy.
That
Go
is
for
true.
it.
Play against Colt McCoy on StarFantasyLeagues.com. Take that Dallas defense. 16,000 in guaranteed prize pools up for Week 8 right now. We got NBA season-long contests, NBA daily games, NHL daily games, free rolls every single day. And if you're not the one to put Booby in, you're doing daily fantasy wrong. Take it easy, guys.
He gonna win.
Booby.